Hello, dear friends. This is Kristen here with Softlex Company for a new episode of Free Spirit Beading. I'm just doing a little bead sorting while I give you all a moment to join me. We're going to be working in blue color palette today, and I wanted to just sort out some larger beads from the smaller beads that I have here. Hi, Gail. Lovely to see you on this fine Monday. Hello, my friend Zach. Lovely to see you as well. Oh, you like my rainbow hat? Everything is coming up rainbows this month. Hey, Becky. Yeah, this is going to be like a fun, how do I check all my accessories that I've got and wear some different rainbow stuff for you guys each week. I have more than I realized. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi, Nancy. Thank you. So I got this hat, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago, probably maybe even longer, because everything I think about, I'm like, oh, a year or two ago. And then I'm like, maybe longer. Our buddy Michael's, the craft and hobby store, did a whole section on rainbow and pride stuff one year, and I picked up this hat then. I love it. It's so fun. And I sometimes have it hanging kind of up behind me, but decided to put it on today because I was a little bit busy this morning and didn't have a time to really get the hair done. So I threw on my rainbow hat. Hey, Sarah. And let's see what else is going on. What other rainbows do I have? I've got this. How awesome is this mug? I just picked this up at a vintage store here in town, in downtown Mesa, called Atomic Age Modern. I have some friends that own that shop, and she will post up things she's got for sale on her Instagram. And as soon as she posted this vintage mug, I was like, yep, gotta have it. So I thought for sure today was the day. Jacqueline has this cup. Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Becky says that's the way I am too. I think things happen later than they did. Yeah, my time is all off. I think with everything with the pandemic and just like things being kind of squished, and I feel like it happened a year ago, but now it's actually been 3 years. Like, my time is just all over the place. I should just say in the past and just leave it at that. Oh, you did. Awesome. Nancy says she bought a cup like that too, just for her granddaughter. I love it. Yeah. So I've got rainbows all over the place this month, and always kind of on the brain, but specifically this month. And we are playing with our Suncatcher Rainbow series. So this is where we're at so far. We've got our violet, white colors up here, and then we have indigo purple here. And next on our list is going to be the blues. So what I'm using for these projects, I am using craft wire, Softlex craft wire in 16 gauge, which is our heaviest gauge. It looks like this. It comes in a spool like that. And it's also a gauge that we are no longer going to be carrying. So I have been sharing that with you all, that I am using a lot of it right now, but it is something that's going to be discontinued. So, might as well go for the bang and do this large suncatcher project with all of you. We do have it in non-tarnished copper and non-tarnished gold, as well as the non-tarnished silver. And in some cases, I didn't even look at the numbers today, but I'm like, in some cases, I think we've got less than 8. And then other colors, metals, we might have a little bit more. But it's been a really fun project. I think it was Sarah's idea during our last Zoom after party when I just had said I've been making these sun catchers and I've been giving them all away. Mother's Day, I gave some away. I had some birthdays come up, Sarah's birthday. And so I was like, I need one for me. And I thought, let's do a rainbow one. That would be a lot of fun. And Sarah suggested, well, why don't you take us all along for it and each week do another shape and color? So that is what we're doing. And it's been really fun. So we're on video 3, color blue today. And we'll see what's next. Yeah, I know. Kalita says, I love how the rainbow swoops on the mug. Isn't that fun? I love it too. It's so like 70s, isn't it? 70s, early 80s. Hello, Marisol. Nancy says, I have not used Softlex yet, but I definitely will try it. Lorena's here, but she's at an appointment, so she might have to pop off. Well, hopefully you'll be able to catch us for a little while and then watch the replay later. Angela says, that is beautiful. Thank you. So a couple of things. We need the wire, we need beads, and I am using my leftover beads from our mystery design kits. I went through and was organizing my studio a couple weeks ago, and I just pulled out all of the beads that were left over from our past mystery design kits. I went back, I think, to 2021 and sorted them by color. And then that's what I'm using to create my sun catchers. We still have some of those bead mixes of those past design kits available at softflexcompany.com. And we also have some design kits available. We've got 3 left of the Under the Sea, which was the most recent one that Sarah revealed. So this is our Under the Sea design kit. And we've got 3 left as of today. If you purchase one of these, you can check out the mystery reveal, which was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we're at the 12th already, which was about 2 weeks ago. You could find it on our YouTube channel. And if you did get it, I'm going to be sending out an email to all of you for an after party on Zoom. So look for that. I'll probably gather that and get it together tomorrow at the latest. So that's always fun. Only open to those that have purchased. I send an email to all of the emails that are on the actual order themselves, and that will give you the Zoom link to come join us. It's at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, hosted by Sarah Ehler, and that is this Wednesday, June 14th. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think this Wednesday, Sarah also was going to reveal the Czech Republic surprise collection, but we just started shipping those today. So they will start arriving, which is great, but I don't know if Sarah is going to actually open it on camera yet because we want it to be a surprise collection when it arrives. So we'll let her figure that out on Wednesday. You can tune in at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Maybe she'll talk a little bit about it, but I have a feeling that she's not going to reveal it as expected this week since they're just starting to ship. But we will reveal it soon. Once we know that the boxes are starting to arrive, I think we were about 2 weeks behind schedule with it coming in from the Czech Republic. So I would say probably a couple of weeks from now, she might actually do the reveal. So that is on Wednesday at 3 p.m. is Sarah's normal video. And then the after party on Zoom is at 4:30 p.m. Both of them are Pacific time. Did anyone join the mermaid party this week? Last week, I should say. If you did, let me know how it was, what you enjoyed. I love hearing about the parties. I still have some replays to watch myself. So I'd love to hear what you all thought. And I'm sure it was just such a blast because we had so many wonderful designers creating for you all this time. Marisol says, my little says, rainbows make me happy. The happiness of a 7-year-old. I love that. That's one thing I do miss about little kids is just their delight in like everything and how just such little things can make them happy. I feel like we're always trying to get back to that, right? I know I am. Anything else to talk about? We've got a sale going on at softflexcompany.com. That is spend $59, get $10 off. That is an immediate discount. So you'll see that in your cart. And it's not valid with any other order discounts. And it ends tomorrow, June 13th, 2023 at midnight Pacific time. So you can shop for anything you want. You'll get those $10 off automatically. No coupon needed. Pretty sweet deal. You can pick up kits. You could pick up bead mixes. You can pick up wire. We put some craft wire in the outlet section last week or the week before as well. So we've got some gunmetal craft wire in the outlet shop. And then we've got a bunch of jump rings we put up there too. So if you haven't seen those two new things added to the outlet, go check them out. Some sweet deals like 30 to 50% off in the outlet. Nancy said, I tried to get the mermaid set, but it said it was sold out. I know we still have the supply kit. We still have some. I think we've got like 15 or something like that left at softflexcompany.com. However, I don't know about the bead kit, which you have to get over on JJB. So I don't know. I don't know about their part of the event, but I do know we still have the supply kit, but it's just the supplies and a few findings and beads, things. It's not all of the beads that you need for the event. All right, so let's switch down to my beading table here. And we've been playing with a different shape. I was experimenting with some ideas. I will say that the copper color 16 gauge is a little bit softer, so it's a little bit easier on your hands to manipulate and work with. So it's kind of a nice metal to grab if that might be something that's important to you. And these are two shapes we'll probably do in the future, the spiral and this heart. But I think today we're going to work on a moon. Oh, that's so nice. Art Save says, all the sun catchers I have created with you always sell first. Fantastic. I love that. Yeah, I love that you guys are selling sun catchers. It's nice to branch out of jewelry for a little bit and do something different. Well, I will say this little moon here could totally be a pendant, and I might make it a pendant. I was playing with different sizes and different techniques. This was the first one I did where I tried to just have one complete piece of wire. And I don't love it. I mean, it's okay. I made a loop here. I went down. I turned it around and kind of came back up and looped around there. So it's okay. I'll probably still use this in something. But then I switched to this style to try, which I used 2 pieces of wire, and then I wrapped them together with a smaller gauge. And I think that's the style that I'm going to share with you today. So this smaller one I did with the Wig Jig Olympus and one of the larger of the super pegs. So this You see that kind of slides right on there. And I think this would be great for a sun catcher, but also for jewelry, this size wise. But this is as large as that one goes. And then this really big one I made using a can from some canned goods. I should give you diameters. This is 2 inches in diameter. And this one is about 2.5 inches in diameter. Maybe even almost 3. Let me measure this one. Yeah, this one's more like 2 3/4 inches to get this size. And then I also have this candle here that I might try with you on camera, because this one's a little bit less than 2.5 inches. So it'll give me a moon in between those two sizes. Well, let's see here. So if I'm going to attach one, it'll be the next one in this thing. So if I attach this one, which I think I can make them all work, but this just feels a little bit big. And then I could attach this one, which again, I think I could make it work, but it felt a little bit small. What do you guys think? I kind of liked this size the best. And I think that's sort of right in between. So I'm going to make one of these curly moons, but I'm going to use this candle, which is 2 2.5 inches in diameter. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is cut myself the wire. You like the big one? Yeah, the big one is fun too. I mean, it is going to be outside hanging. So I feel like these shapes can get pretty large. And it is somewhat close to the first one. How does the big moon compare to the swirl component? Those are the 2 different sizes. Let me put on here. So the big one, I used the can, and the small one, I used the super peg with the wig jig. Big moon, big moon. All right, let's do the big moon. Let's do the big one. All right, so I'm going to grab my can of my vegetable can again, and let me make sure I've got enough wire cut here. I've got all of my regular tools. I've got a pair of bent nose pliers, chain nose pliers, nylon jaw pliers, cutters, round nose pliers, and the multi-mandrel pliers. Okay, so I want cut 2 pieces of my 16 gauge craft wire, and I'm using the non-tarnished silver to stay in the same metal tone as the rest of my sun catcher. This one is 7 inches long. And then I'm going to cut another one. Oh, there it is. You can make it just a little shorter. I'm going to just cut the second piece 6 inches long. And I am using regular, these are the Italian flush cutters. So they're a pretty heavy duty cutter. Maybe we say in the description, Damien, for if you're just using like a bead nipper, which is our cheapest, most affordable cutter. That one may or may not cut 16 gauge, but I feel like our $12 one and this one, which I think is around $20, are both good options for the 16 gauge. The nipper might be, you might be pushing it. The bead nipper, which is the black handled cutter, I would say is more for beading wire. Okay, so I've got 2 pieces. I'm going to move this guy out of the way and maybe the beads too, so I don't knock them over. So I've got 2 pieces of 16 gauge wire, and they are 7 inches for the longer one, and I did 6 inches for the shorter one. I'm just going to take both of them. Yeah, so the bead nipper, which is our most affordable black handled cutter, says they are designed for use on beading wire and soft metals, not attempting to card hard wire such as memory wire. So it does say that it can cut sterling silver or copper. $16 gauge would probably be the high, like the largest that I would attempt it. But I probably would try and use a better cutter. Okay, so here are two pieces of wire that I just wrapped around the can. This one looks like it might be the little bit longer one. And we're going to work on making our moon shape. I'm going to take the one in the back and I'm just going to create a little loop at the top. And I'm going to create another loop at the bottom. I might make this one a little bit larger. I think that's what I did on the other one. But, you know, this is more of just a design aesthetic. It doesn't. So they're both going out and around, and then this one's going down and around, up and around, down and around. What about 18 gauge? You could use 18 gauge for this product, for this project, but you would need to make sure to work harden it a little bit more. I do feel like once you add beads in the center, it really helps to stabilize it. So that would be okay. And if you're, I think that you can, I still, honestly, the bead nipper, I would just do beading wire on the bead nipper. I would upgrade to a tool like this one for any of the wire work that you're doing. I actually use this tool on my beading wire too. I use it for both. So it's good for both of them. So I'm going to work harden this, and I just take this wire whacker and smash it down. I'm going to actually move it to my other table because it shakes everything, and mute myself for a second. Okay, so I just whacked it like 2 times on one side. I flipped it and whacked it 2 times on another side. So now I'm going to want to position this wire. No, Nancy. Does your cutter cut memory wire? No, you should only use a memory wire cutter for cutting any. We use any cutters. Should only be used with a memory wire specific cutter because memory wire is like a whole league of its own. So we do sell them. They're just a separate cutter. And now you could play a little bit, like I'm just going to kind of pinch these 2 pieces in ever so slowly and slightly so that they kind of hug my other wire. And I figure out where I want to attach. And I'm going to start with the top one first. So you can either mark it with you can mark them both with a Sharpie. So you have an idea of where you want the wire to attach. And then I'm also just going to take my chain nose plier and bend that wire down a little bit so that I can use that to kind of hug it. And I'm not going to do the bottom yet. I'm just going to do the top because I want to start wrapping that, and then I might adjust my bottom a little bit more. Excuse me. So for the wrapping, I'm going to use 22 gauge Softlex craft wire, non-tarnished silver plated. And I'm going to cut about 10 to 12 inches so that I could wrap the tops and the bottoms. So now I'm going to pick up my 2 pieces of wire and I'm going to hold them in my hand, hold them down with my finger, my thumb and my forefinger, and then I'm going to place my little wrapping wire on top, line it up to where I want this corner to be. Okay. I sort of stuck my little pinky in between these 2 wires to kind of keep them separate. And I'm going to start to wrap around. And using my chain nose or bent nose pliers, really pull it nice and tight. I'll go around 3 or 4 times with this little shorter side. And you could trim off any excess you don't end up using. So you'll see there, I've got a few wraps to hold it in place. And now I'm going to take my fingers and hold it from this direction. And you can slide this up and down. So I'm going to kind of make sure it's all the way back to my little loop. And now I'm going to hold it with the opposite fingers. And I'm going to wrap it around the other direction. And I think I'm going to switch because I want to wrap with my right hand. So I'm just going to switch and hold it upside down. And again, I can kind of move that one, the inside wire give it a little push for your shaping. You might decide you want a thin moon or you want a thicker moon. So you just kind of and then once I get a few done, I'm going to go ahead and scrunch them together if I need to, so they're nice and tight. You can even flatten them a little bit. And my thought for this is to just keep wrapping until I'm kind of at a place where I can start adding a bead. Like there's enough opening. So we'll stop there. And I'm just going to trim this off. Now come in and tighten this again. Tuck in my ends. And you've got something like this so far. Okay, so now I'm going to leave this alone for the moment. And I'm going to look at the bottom of my moon and kind of figure out where I want this to connect. Do I want it to be there? Did I change my mind? I want it to be in a little bit closer. Make it a smaller moon or a wider moon. And if I need to, I might just take that back shape and bend it a little bit more. And I'm doing them sort of like little micro bends. That seems good. Then I can take my wire and bend it up, just like I did from the top. And if these are too long, you can even, these are just your little spiral wires. So if they're too long or crossing over each other and in your way, you could trim them down. So now we'll do the same thing on the other side. I had about 7 inches left actually. So I'm just going to use this little scrap from my first part. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side, is I'm going to pinch them together, holding them in place. And then I'm going to take that 22 gauge wrapping wire, have a little short side, and I'm going to go around and wrap a few times. And I wrap that one kind of towards my loop, that little one, and then again, slide it back if it slides out of place, because they do like to slide around. Just slide your little wraps back towards your loop. And now with what I've got left, I will start wrapping in the other direction. And I feel like you just need a couple to kind of really get it anchored. You just want to feel like your shape is anchored. And you might want to look at what you did on the first part here and try to make it around the same. Doesn't have to be exact. So I feel like around there I'm happy with. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess. Oh, that's a good point. Khalidi says, plus you can wrap some seed beads on top of your initial connecting wrap. That sounds pretty. Yeah, you can really have, creative freedom once you get the basic done of how you want to embellish. Nancy says, you make this look, I can try it. Yeah, you can. You could totally do it. I will say this one feels more advanced than the ones I did so far. So if you want to, if you feel like you can do this one, then you could definitely do the other ones. And then your last step is to make your little curly cues on the top and bottom of your moon. And these can be short or they can be longer. I think I did these by using the multi-mandrel first. I mean, I said I think. I just did it right before the video. But sometimes the memory disappears quite quickly. I'm gonna take this tool and push it all the way up towards my other loop, and then I'm gonna wrap it around the largest one until I can't wrap it anymore. Might even just take another plier to really get it around there so it has that round shape. And then I'm going to grab a regular round nose plier and I'm going to go close to the end on this big loop I just made. And I'm going to pull that one around and in. So there is that bottom curly cue. And I'm going to do the same thing heading inside, going in that way from this part here. So I'm going to grab my shape with my tool up against my loop, and then I'm going to go all the way around that large mandrel. And if it doesn't make it, because this, I can usually keep going with my fingers, but since this is a thicker gauge, I'm just going to use another plier to help me get around. You can even trim it off if you don't. The only thing I was trying to avoid is making it too too much of like a bump here where it might be like a hard edge. But you can always trim it if you feel like you can't get all the way around that plier any further. And then I'm going to use the round nose pliers and grab that little part in the center and start to rotate that in. And if you want, just take your other plier and kind of flatten it out. And you might even want to pull it, like in that case, mine got a little bit close. So I just pulled it away from my shape. And we're done. Now we get to decorate it. So in the other two, I had done beads in a line all on the inside on this one. And then we did kind of a free form beads inside in that one. So I thought for this one that I would maybe do beads along the outside just to change it up a little bit and do a little drop here. I feel like this project is giving us so many fun tools and techniques because there's just so many little bits and parts that we can change up each time. Let me see what you all are saying. Art Saves, this is a channel that has been showing you a way to do it, and you you love that you're making money from your sun catchers. I love that too. Oh, here she goes. She wrote it again. Love to do and showed me how to make money with it. Oh, that's fantastic. Yay, Nancy, welcome. I'm glad you found us. Please subscribe and share. That's such a great reminder for all of you that are watching that we love our subscribers. We're here live. I'm here every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, and then Sarah's here every Wednesday. And then we always have extra events and parties and all sorts of fun things that we're doing, like the Great Bead Extravaganza that's coming up again next month. So be sure to subscribe, and then you'll always know what's happening. Thanks, Khalidi. She says, Kristen, this is the best moon tutorial. I love how it has hanging and connecting loops. I know. We can hang beads from in here, and we can connect from there. Isn't it fun? Oh, I just love moons. I was, like I said, this was my first one, which I was like, yeah, that works, but it needed more flair. This one definitely has some more flair. So now it's time for beads. Let me grab a little bead mat. Now you can see that shape even better on there, probably. And then I'm into the blue section for this part of my rainbow. So I just gathered up some small and medium-sized beads. I thought that maybe that one, or if you had a star, that would be really fun. I also have this little fancy bead here that could go there. I don't know. This one just feels a little too perfect for that spot, though. But first, I'm going to start with the smaller beads. So I'm going to pull out some of the itty or bitty beads. These are fun. They have like a little, not quite a cat's eye, but something like a cat's eye. And I have a combination of dark blue and some of these teal, aqua blue colors. Are also a mix of some matte and some transparent beads. So some of these are going to really, look at this pretty heart. Ooh, that one could be really nice here too. Are you guys sorters? I'm not always a big sorter, but I do know that when I do take the time to sort my beads, it can be a little easier. But I have a tendency to make things harder myself. Who can relate? Okay. Karen says, hello, everyone. Hi, Karen. The beads are a beautiful shade of blue. Aren't they lovely? Blues are always a fan favorite, aren't they? Oh, Khalidi says, I'm going to dangle a spider with polymer clay body and beaded legs from the bottom of her moon. Oh, that sounds so cool. I hope you will share a picture of that with us. Okay, so how much did I cut? So I cut like an arm span of wire, which is most likely too much, but I didn't want to run out. Karen says, I'm not a sorter until I get started. Then I start to sort. Yeah, until you're like, okay, gotta make this work. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a small section and wrap it around my moon shape on the outside 3 times, maybe 4. And then I'm going to trim off whatever's left and tuck that in. I'm going to go ahead and slide it all the way up because I want to actually start up here. So slide it till they are kind of connected. And this is where you can add like those little seed beads on top too that Khalidi mentioned. This wire gauge is 22. So I'm using 22. You could probably even get away with thinner 24 on this because it feels a little bit thick. I think that's what I used on the other ones though. So I'm going to go ahead and string on a little bead. And for this design, I'm trying to keep them on the frame. So I'm going to hold that bead in place and then grab the wire and feed it through the center. It's always a lot of wire in the beginning to kind of wrangle. So just be careful of your eyes. If you have safety glasses, wear those. Just be mindful of everything on your desk. I'm speaking from experience of getting all sorts of stuff caught. Mostly tools. And then I'm going to go around 3 times. Oh, Karen is saying, what happened to my hand? It looks worse than it is. I got attacked by my bougainvillea plant. I was doing some trimming this weekend. They love the summertime, and so they are just all sorts of wild right now. I think I'm going to cut a little bit of this off. I think I just have too much wire. You can always add it later. Okay, so we're going to switch to another and add that blue. That's better. I cut it kind of in half. So half of my arm span. And I'm just going to keep going around. I'm going to try and mix up the beads. And whenever I add a new one on, like especially one like this where it's an odd shape, I'm just going to sort of add it, get it in position, and then hold it down with my finger and then pull the wire through the center. Karen says they're always attacking people. Plants can be dangerous. Yeah, it's they're super thorny. and they grow like crazy. So I had 2 actually that I was trimming this weekend. They are so pretty, but they grow like crazy, and you have to kind of wrangle those thorns. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back. Maybe I'll pick up one of these dark blues again. Maybe I'll pick up one of these larger dark blues. Zach says, I thought it was from gardening. I know on Mondays, you guys tend to see me a little bit after gardening, after studio days for my weekend. I painted all weekend. Sometimes all of that's kind of a mess. And then if you find you want them to be closer, you can scoosh them down a little bit. Let's go back to one of these little. I'm kind of putting them on random. You can have a plan if you want. Oh, that's a good idea. Lydia says, Gem Hawks. Yeah, I know Gem. She does a lot of wire work. She winds the non-working end of her wire into a coil so it's not wiping out the items on her desk. You know, I took a class at Craftcation too, and she, which I loved, that she put the wire into a Kumihimo bobbin. I just don't have any near me. I didn't think about doing that. So she had it in a little Kumihimo bobbin, and she just had enough out for you to use. And you just have to make sure that your Kumihimo bobbin does fit through the shape that you're working on. This one's fine, and if you're doing something like a bangle or something that's large, but that could be an issue, I guess, if it doesn't have enough space. So just wrapping it into a coil would be another good option. Let's pick up one of these again. Aw, thanks, Gems of Hope. So sweet of you to say. I'm glad you found me. It's nice to do projects like this that are so open-ended, right? Where you just get little tips and can add on each time and just kind of take a little creative journey of your own while you're learning. I think this is the first time I'm doing something this many parts. I've done a few like in the past where they've been like knitted and you knit and then you add on, but I don't think I've done anything with like, so probably end up being 7 parts when it's all said and done, which is super fun. I didn't realize I was still on screen. I just realized that Karen says, is 22 gauge the best wire for beading? It depends on your project, but 22 gauge is a nice kind of middle of the road. I would say, I think for me, 22, 20, maybe 24. If you were to get 3, like those in the middle would probably be great ones to check out. And then you could do most projects. I use 20 for components. I use 20 for ear wires. I also use 18 gauge for components because it's a little bit thicker, but a lot of projects you can get away with 20, jewelry related anyway. And then 22 is great for like drops and wire wrapping, little dangles and things like that. And then 24, you can easily sub 24 for what I'm doing here, is good for when you're wrapping stuff. It's a little bit more flexible and thinner than what I'm currently using. But since this is a sun catcher and it's going to be outside, I am kind of working on the heavier side of things because, you know, you've got the weather to contend with and something flooding or the winds. Oh my gosh. Can I just say that we have had the best summer here in Arizona, and from like, it's been the coolest summer I could ever remember. Yes, 7 chakra rising colors. That is what I'm doing. Getting all of them in here. Ooh, is this one too big for that spot? Let's see if I can kind of squish it down a little bit. Yeah, it's okay. Nancy says, thank you for explaining that. You're welcome. I think we have an actual web page that has tips on, in our tips and tricks section, that has tips on what is good for what gauge thickness is good for what type of projects. All right, I think I can stop here. So if you want to decorate the inside here as well, you could decorate it on the outside, you could decorate it on the inside. You could keep going with this strand, or you can, if you were done with it, you can kind of cut it loose and then start again here. But I think for right now, I'll just work on a dangle with you guys and leave that inside alone. And I can always add more there later if I want. Yeah, I think I'm going to add this as the dangle. Isn't that pretty? Maybe I'll add like one of these with it. So it's got the 2 different blues in there. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this on what I had left over. This is still the 22 gauge. I'm going to pull these together like so. And I'm going to use my chain nose pliers to make a 90-degree bend. I'm going to do that towards me, and then I'm going to flip and hold that little loop I just made with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to go close to where that bend is, and then just wrap this around. I'm trying not to compress this any tighter because I don't want it, I want it to have some movement. Let's see if I got too tight on there. Let's do that one again. I don't love that. Instead, let's use my mandrel and make a nice big loop. And then slide that on. And now that hangs better. So same thing on this part, I'm gonna make a bend. I'm gonna go up towards that bend, wrap my wire around. 1, 2 times. Let me see what it looks like when I add this here. Let me go around one more time. I like a nice big messy wrap. Go ahead and trim. Then I'm going to add this bead here. Let's see where we're laying there. Hey, Deb. How are you doing? How was your mermaid time? I hope you had a blast with everybody. I love your project. Now you can kind of feed it through before I wrap it any further. Yeah. Let me open it up. Hopefully I didn't make it too small. I forgot I was working with such thick wire. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. Oh, it's such a fun event. I mean, how can mermaids not be fun? Mermaids are the best. Missing the beach, that's for sure. I was just telling everyone, Deb doesn't live far from me, how unbelievably beautiful it has been here this summer. I'm like, I can't stop talking about the weather. It's been kind of funny. Like, oh my gosh, I just keep talking about it because it's been so nice. It is really rare. I'm going to take this wire and actually wrap it around this little guy too and kind of bring it down just to add a little flare. Maybe I'll bring it back up again. It's just been so gorgeous. I was outside like all weekend and having my coffee out there, I did some typing out there on my computer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I am outside in the middle of June. It has been so amazing. It's been so amazing. All right, so now we're going to attach this to the 2 pieces that we have made already. So we've got these 2 pieces here, which has got the white violet, the indigo purple, and then we've got our blues. And I made these jump rings myself with the 16 gauge wire and the multi-mandrel plier on last week and the week before's episode. So if you want to see how to make your own jump rings. And I did that because I wanted them all to be kind of the same size and I wanted them to all be large. And so now we've got number 3 added to our design. Let me hold it up and show it to you here. How fun! Let's see if our moon wants to cooperate. There we go. Oh, I might have to make this a little shorter now that it's actually in position. I was thinking it was going to be like this, but it's falling like that. Well, if I end up putting the next one here, it will, it'll be in place. So maybe I'll leave it and wait and see how it looks after we add the next shape, and it hopefully will pull it back down a little bit. So fun. So next Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, we're going to go ahead and add our 4th color, which will be our greens, and probably do a little heart shape for the green for since our green chakra, there we go. Green chakra is for the heart. So I might do a heart shape next. I also have another spiral coming up in the future, and then I'll have to come up with some other ideas for some other shapes. I think someone said a star, which I tried to play around with. That might be a little bit tougher. I know Sarah has done a star, so I might have to go watch her video and see what she did when she did her star. Kalidi says, maybe just angle the hanging loop differently. Yeah, I'm going to wait and see. Because if I hung it like this, it would be hitting. But I have a feeling once I add the next one, it'll pull it down. But if it doesn't, then I'll shorten this a little bit. I did make this loop kind of large, so there's room to shorten it. There's room. So thank you all so much for joining me. I'm so glad you're loving this series and this project. Like I said, I don't think I've done one that was really this long before, where we just keep adding on. And yeah, I like it, because then we get to really sink our teeth into a design, right? And really get to play around with lots of tips and techniques around just particular things. So it's been really fun. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you again next week for another episode of Free Spirit Beading. I'm live on Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific time. My name's Kristen Fagan. I'm here at Softlex Company. Be sure to check us out at softlexcompany.com. And right now until tomorrow, June 13th, you can spend $59 and get an immediate $10 off your order. Not valid with any other order discounts. And like I said, it ends tomorrow. Oh, what is Gems of Hope saying here? What if you have the connection ring between the 2 memory wires instead of the top? Yeah, I could, because I don't have to, I could always connect. You can connect these shapes kind of anywhere you want. You don't have to have a loop at the top and the bottom to make it work. Like in this case here, I just sort of connected it right on that shape. And you don't necessarily even need the jump rings, because I did 2 actually where I didn't use jump rings at all, and I just connected the next shape with the first shape. So lots of different ways that you can experiment and play and see what works best for you and your design and how you like to make it. Thanks, Jan. Thanks everybody for being here. I will see you again next week. Hope you have a very rainbow-tastic, creative week ahead. Until next time, happy beading.